Hey folks, this is Carl from My Perspective Podcast here with another video episode. This is my second one here. Um, so with the first one, it was basically just an introduction to my video version of my podcast. Um, so the second episode, the title of this episode is called May is Mental Health Month. I'll be getting to some of the details here in a minute on what that actually means and stuff like that. But first, I'm going to kind of give a plug into my podcast on Spotify. If you type in the podcast section, you type in From My Perspective, it will come up. I think I have like a multicolored picture on there. You just go ahead and click on it. Just go ahead and press follow and also hit the notification bell. So that way you'll be able to get updates on some of my new episodes that I've recorded. I do have over 100 episodes on there now, varying from politics, from Bible stuff, talk about religion a little bit, talk about everyday living. Also, I do have a couple episodes on there about with some top 10 songs in my opinion. In that regards, there, I'm still working on those on the next episode for that. There, always having episodes uploaded at least once a week, possibly two in a week. In that regards, there. So let's go ahead and actually get started with this episode. As I mentioned, here, May is Mental Health Month. I did this episode back in last year. It was a year ago. I actually did this episode. The theme song for this episode here, and I'll have it in the description. The link for the video down below for my theme song is called "Locked in My Head" from Fit for a King. Fit for a King is basically a metalcore group based out of Texas, and I think they are a Christian metalcore group. A lot of their songs, we had to pull up the lyrics at first to kind of get what they're saying, what they're singing, but a lot of their music is good, and a lot of their lyrics has a lot of are really good to listen to. It kind of helps through everyday life. "Locked in My Head" is a song I think is very appropriate for Mental Health Month because it really just kind of helps with our own mental health, or how we're stuck in fear all the time. Reality is, we can't move forward a lot of not only with our past, but also with the struggles we're having mentally, some mental health issues. So we can actually, because a lot of times nobody else is going over that. Nobody's going to understand what's going on in your head. The only people, a lot of people who are going through some mental health issues, a lot of people don't even know about it. And I'll be talking about here in a minute. But that's basically what it is. It's about with us living in our own mental health issues. A lot with our living through our past. We live, everything that happened to us. And I know we can't do anything about our past, but we can do something about our future. And also too, with our mental health, there is a way you can actually get help with. So that's basically the sum of the lyrics for the song. I hope you enjoy it once I get that down in the description section. As I mentioned, this May is Mental Health Month, and I think it's really, really important that we go ahead and we talk about this because mental health was really not talked about. I know it wasn't talked about back in the 80s, growing up, and then the 90s, and also with me being part of the independent fundamental Baptist movement, definitely was not looked at in the proper lens. People just thought if you had a mental health issue, that people just thought you were just crazy, which it's like I said, it's a kind of a taboo kind of a situation, but really kind of the whole mental health awareness month basically started back in the U.S. It started back in 1949. Back then, it was known as as National Association for Mental Health. According to Wikipedia, 18% of Americans suffer from depression, schizophrenia, and bipolar. And that's just three that's just mentioned. Up until in recent years, like I said, mental health. I mentioned earlier, mental health was kind of like a taboo type thing that no one really kind of talked about in the open. But I think with recent years, of course, there's always going to be a stigma around it, but it's I'm not sure how bad it is with that stigma, but we need to get away from that. If someone's suffering from anxiety or depression, that doesn't mean that that means that that person is thought of it as being weak. That's not necessarily the case when they're suffering from anxiety or depression. That means that they just don't. They're probably stronger than those who are going through it. I suffer with ADHD and as a result of anxiety. My family, my wife has postpartum or she did have postpartum, and also she has major anxiety, so she takes medication for it. I encouraged her to go and do it because I encourage you to do it because it's very important that she does. But yeah, when people have anxiety or depression, they're not weak. A lot of times they're pushing through it, and we don't even know it. As I mentioned earlier, we don't even know if they're even what they're even going through. Also too is that people who are burned out and need to rest were thought as being lazy. Well, they continue to go through and they get to a point of mental burnout. People think, oh, you're just lazy. You don't want to do anything. Well, that's not necessarily, again, it's not necessarily true. God and Jesus knew rest is a good thing. God created, He created things in 6 days. The whole the universe, the planets, everything. He created mankind, animals. He created everything in 6 days, 6 literal days. And on the seventh day, He actually rested. So rest is important. Even with Jesus, when He came down here to earth, He knew when to rest. He actually went into the mountains over there in Israel. He actually went to get some rest. He got physically weary. He got mentally weary because He was healing people, doing miracles, healing people, raising people from the dead. Dealing with people, His disciples. It gets taxing after a while. So Jesus knew when to rest. I think of some people. Who died, who passed away recently over the last several years. I think of Robin Williams. He had was hit with mental illness for a few years, and mental illness for a while, or mental health issues for years before he actually committed suicide. Naomi Judd, with the last year or so, she was in her 70s, 60s, 70s, something like that. She ended up committing suicide. Twitch, another one, within about a year or so, within the last year or so, he committed suicide. All three of them, these are just examples. All three of them seem to be perfectly fine on the outside. On the inside, they had some turmoil. They had some mental health issues. As a result, they couldn't deal with it anymore, and so what they did, they took their own life to end their life, to end that suffering that they had to go through. And I would imagine that they probably got, I'm not sure, honestly, I can't speak for them, but I would imagine they would have gotten some help, but I can't speak for them in that regards there. My wife and I, we actually had a neighbor for this happened like 2, maybe 3 years ago, to where she had to be institutionalized for trying to hurt herself. She had to because she has some mental health issues as well. And that she's taking medication for it. And last time I heard, her mom had told me that she was actually My neighbor is actually she's doing well. Um, so she's living on her own. She's kind of living with her mom, getting help that she needs, living a little bit more independently, having a job, stuff like that, which is actually good. Is actually good for her. I can't imagine just going through that sort of thing with the type of mental health issue that she was going through. Um, how do we get help? Well, there are a few things that we need. I'll go through here in regards to how to get the help. One is talk to somebody. Talk to somebody. One person you can actually talk to is your spouse. Talk to your spouse about the whole situation, how you feel, and what's going on. And they may say you need to go see a doctor about this. Talk to because sometimes talking to someone actually kind of helps out a little bit. Just kind of get that out in the air. If you go to church, talk to a pastor about this. I know that some pastors, especially in the independent fundamental Baptist world, they don't believe in mental health issues or mental health problems. They don't believe that. But if you need to speak to a pastor, go to a pastor or someone who is in ministry. Go to someone who doesn't believe that way, because pastors are there to help you out. Again, if the pastor doesn't know, that won't be able to guide you in the way that you need to go, he may refer you to go to a doctor or to a specialist. He may have you go to your primary care physician about that. Talk to a close friend, a friend who's not a close, non-judgmental friend. People, especially, because as we get older, we don't have too many. We have a lot of acquaintances, growing up, but we have very, 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 very few close friends, especially those who are not judgmental. We have very, very few. Talk to your friend about this or what you're going through, because sometimes we need that ear to listen. We need that ear to talk to. There's just nothing. There's no shame in talking about that. They're getting it out there. You just need somebody, because everybody needs somebody to listen to. Everybody needs to talk to somebody who can listen. Secondly, as I said, first of all, talk to someone, a close family member, a pastor, in that regards there. Seek medical help. Seek medical help. If you don't want to talk to anybody who's close to you or in the ministry aspect, go talk to your private. And I mentioned this just moments ago, that you need to go seek medical professional help. Maybe they can refer you to a psychiatrist or psychologist. Help you out with that. They maybe will give you some ideas or tips in regards with being able to help you with your mental health. I had, because my oldest daughter, she was officially diagnosed with ADHD, and I just started thinking, because I've noticed some of the stuff that she was kind of going through. I've noticed, what if I had, because I heard it's, ADHD is hereditary. So I actually went onto Mayo Clinic's website and looked at ADHD, some of the symptoms, and I've noticed that I had a lot of those as an adult, and also too with ADHD, also for an adult. I think maybe with some children too, the anxiety and depression comes along with it. And so I talked while my physical I had with my doctor a couple months ago, brought it up in conversation. So I ended up getting on Wellbutrin. That was actually fit for me, and actually it's helped me out quite a bit. You may want to, because because my doctor and I, we talked about with other options, and some of the other medications actually has narcotics in it. And I don't want to deal with all the cut through, the having to go every month or two, get take some tests, sign a waiver, not to distribute them. It was just too much of a headache. So basically, what I said, put me on Wellbutrin to see how it works, and been on it for a couple months now, and actually worked out rather well for me. But as for me personally, But my wife, she's on Lexapro for hers. But of course, she has her case is a little different than mine, so she needs a little bit stronger medication. So, like I said, each person is different. You have to go and you have to talk to your doctor about this, or you get referred to a psychiatrist or a psychologist about this. Um, Sometimes with the mental health is that sometimes you get burned out. There's times where I get burned out. It was a lot worse when I was dealing with people in the call center where I work at a credit union. And so I burn through my PTO. And now since I'm in the back office, I don't deal with customers quite a bit, but I still get kind of burnout, but it's a different kind of burnout. And I took the day off today. Well, I had to go to the doctor anyways to go get do my follow for diabetes, but I took the day off just because I needed a day off. It just sometimes work just really even though I'm on Wellbutrin, sometimes work gets to me sometimes, and it's always good to get that day off, just kind of mentally take a break. That's what we need. Also, to another way how to get help or how to handle maybe mental health is that go out for a walk or go to the gym. That's probably a thing too that we can actually do is to kind of help out um, with mental health is get out and walk around, get some sunshine, because if you go outside, you get some vitamin D get some vitamin D through the sun. Go to the gym, kind of get the endorphins going too. That could help out as well for your mental health with bringing it down a little bit. Um, if you are someone of a religious person, you can pray, read the Bible, find some Bible verses that help out with mental health. That's always a good thing you could do. Just pick out those verses and read those verses. Go to church. Go to church. That can, I know sometimes church can actually help out in regards with how you feel, and also with mental health too, and also helping out other people. Put in that category here. Also helping out other people as well who are in very similar situations. That way, it kind of helps with the whole mental health thing. Also, too, um, there is, if you are dealing with mental health issues, there is a number you can actually call. It is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. It's called NAM, National Alliance on Mental Illness. They can actually, you can give them a call. They can actually help you out in situations with mental illness or mental health issues. Their number is 1-888-950-NAMI. That's 1-888-950-6261. That is the phone number for them. If you're feeling suicidal, if you're having suicidal thoughts, the phone number to call for that is 988 for help. For the suicide hotline, it used to be a longer number, but they recently changed it. I think it was last year they actually changed it to 988, so that way you can actually get the help that you need. I know here in the Winston area, I know they have like a task force. I think the acronym is BEAR. So basically what they do is if anybody who has like a mental health issue or a mental health breakdown, they actually respond to the situations, especially a person who's having issues, who are in a situation where the police may not be able to help, because like I said, mental illness and mental health is a real thing. It wasn't recognized before like it is now, and I'm glad to see that after being out of college and where I was at before, of course your thoughts and opinions do change, and my thoughts were actually do change in regards with mental health. I believe it is a real thing. I believe that people need to take precautions, not to help themselves out, but to help others out. In regards there, in that with this whole situation, everybody's important. Everybody needs to needs the help that they can get for their mental health. My final thought is, because I mentioned that mental health ultimately is a real thing, is a real situation, and should be taken very, very seriously. Because one day, if that person's not taken seriously, one day if something were to happen to them where they're no longer here on Earth, or if they are in a hospital, because they weren't taken seriously, you may feel bad or may feel guilty because you didn't help them out the way that they needed the help. Well, I hope you all have a good day. Like I said, I will put the theme song in the description page, in the description section of the video, and also put National Alliance on Mental Health, mental illness number in the description page, as well as the suicide hotline as well in the description page. Hope you all have a good day, and thank you for watching.